9/11 that people say, oh, it doesn't bother me, we have to give up our liberties to be safe. Well,
I don't think so.
I have a different understanding of who makes us safe. You know, if you wanted the policeman to make you safe, you have to have a policeman at the door. And you have to have, if the federal government's to make us safe, they have to do the same thing. The purpose of the government and the officials, they take an oath of office not to enhance their political party or make you safe. They're to obey the Constitution is what they're supposed to do. After 9/11, I certainly understood the stress after 9/11, but not assessing and not understanding or ever even knowing what the CIA has taught us, that if you're careless with your foreign policy, watch out, you might get blowback, and we ought to know about that.
Yep.
So this is what we have had to put up with, but just a couple weeks after 9/11, a bill that had been in process, they couldn't get passed because it was such an attack on our liberties, and that was the onerous Patriot Act that should have never been passed. So what do we have now? We have a Patriot Act which repealed the Fourth Amendment, and we have TS agents that sort of treat you like a terrorist at the airports. So we have to be aware of that, and so many things are going on under the atmosphere today, because though we're winning the intellectual fight, those who have the power and those who have the wealth that they get from this power will not go away quietly. And they are going to fight, and they're going to be tenacious, and guess what? The power struggle in Washington, the pretense of Republicans fighting with the Democrats, it isn't philosophic. It's over who gets the power and whose special interest gets the benefits. And this is the reason that right now it is recognized that there's not much to pass out anymore. We're a poorer nation. The wealth that we have is based on debt. The middle class is shrinking. They're poorer. They're losing their houses and they're losing their jobs. And we're a long way from resolving the economic crisis that has been brought on by bad fiscal policy and horrible monetary policy, and that has to change. But under these conditions, so much liberty is given up. A long time ago, it was assumed that you didn't have the right to spend your own money. But if you understand what liberty is all about, liberty comes from a creator. It comes to us in a natural way. So if your life and liberty is naturally yours and you own that liberty, wouldn't it be logical to assume, as the founders did, that the consequence and the production and the production of your labors should be yours? So what you produce should be yours. It shouldn't be shared with the government. Which means, of course, that we need a whole generation to agree with the founders who didn't like the idea of an income tax, didn't give it to us, and we got that in the progressive era. At the same time, we got the Federal Reserve and the foreign interventionist foreign policy. So it is this acceptance, casual acceptance, because it's at the beginning, it's slow, and nobody notices. We give up a little economic liberty here and there. It eventually doesn't help the people it was intended to help. It goes to serve entitlements to the very wealthy. That's essentially what inflation does. You print money. Whoever gets to use the money first have the benefit. But you get it last. The banks and the big corporations, the military-industrial complex, foreign governments and foreign central banks and foreign aid recipients, they get the money first. When it circulates and come back to you, you get the inflation. And who does it hurt the most? The very people we pretend to take care of from cradle to grave. The people now who have paid into Social Security for all these years, and they're on Social Security benefits, and the benefits are automatically going down because the purchasing power is going down and the price of everything is going up. And what does the government tell you? Oh, don't sweat it. There's no inflation out there. What? Yeah, we do know. We don't know that the old calculation of the CPI is about 8 or 9%. And the people who want to save their money and try to take care of themselves, what do they get when they save their money? Because the system is rigged to give the banks the money for 1%, guess what? The people who are saving want to take care of themselves. They end up with earning 1% instead of 5 or 6%. So it really crimps their styles and makes it so difficult. So the whole system has to be changed, and we have to have a better understanding of economic policy and monetary policy. We have to understand the principle of private property. We have to have an understanding of contract rights. And these are just basic fundamentals of a free society. But once it's designed to help certain groups, it ends up those who have the biggest clout get to be the recipients. So we have to address that in a structural way. We have to address the subject of personal liberty in a structural way. Because if it is our lives and our liberty and the fruits of our labor belong to us, it means that individuals, if you're allowed to keep what you earn and you assume responsibility for yourself, you're allowed to make your own mistakes, but you're not allowed to put your mistakes on your neighbor. You can't dump it on somebody else. You have to assume that responsibility.